Working alone, it sounds pretty peaceful, right? No boss hovering over your shoulder, no interruptions. But for millions of people out there, that solo shift is actually a silent danger. It's a hidden risk that has very real, life-or-death consequences. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on why this is so critical and, more importantly, what you can actually do about it. Think about it. From remote oil fields and sprawling construction sites to late-night retail stores and even home healthcare visits, millions of people do their jobs completely by themselves. And here's the thing. When you're alone, every single risk gets multiplied. A simple slip, a sudden medical issue, a confrontation, it can all escalate into a life-threatening situation in seconds, all because there's no one there to help. Look at this number. Honestly, it's terrifying. This represents 18 fatalities among lone workers in U.S. shipyards over a 10-year period. And here is the absolutely critical part. 17 of them. 17! They weren't discovered until after they had already died. This isn't some theoretical what-if scenario. This is the tragic reality when help isn't there when you need it. So to get a handle on this, here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to look at the unseen risk, figure out who a lone worker really is, and cover the employer's duty. Then we'll dive into identifying the hazards, building a solid safety net, and we'll wrap up by making it clear why being alone should never, ever mean being unprotected. Let's get into it.
Okay, first things first. We have to be crystal clear on who we are actually talking about. When you hear the term lone worker, you probably picture someone way out in the middle of nowhere, right? But the reality? Well, it's way, way broader and much more common than most people assume.
And this definition from WorkSafe BC really hits the nail on the head. See, it's not just about being physically by yourself. The real key here, the thing you have to focus on, is whether assistance would be readily available in an emergency. I mean, think about it. You could be in a huge, busy building, but if you're working after hours in an isolated section, you are a lone worker. Why? Because if something happened, who would even know? Who could get to you quickly?
And this list just shows you how incredibly widespread this is. We're talking about home health aides going into private homes, delivery drivers navigating the streets of a city like Dubai late at night, the person working the overnight shift at a convenience store, it's security guards on patrol, engineers servicing remote equipment, even a construction worker on a huge site who is just out of sight and earshot of their team. The rule is simple. If help isn't immediately available, they are a lone worker. So now we know who a lone worker is. So let's talk about responsibility. Because protecting these workers, well, it isn't just good practice or a nice thing to do, it is a non-negotiable legal obligation for employers. There is absolutely no gray area here. And this right here, this is the bedrock of workers' safety in the United States. It's OSHA's General Duty Clause. You can think of it as this incredibly powerful catch-all rule. It doesn't list every single possible hazard, but it mandates that employers must protect workers from any recognized hazard that could cause serious harm or death. So, what does that mean in plain English? It's simple. Lone work is a recognized hazard, full stop. And that means, under the law, employers must protect their people from it. Regulatory bodies all over the world get this. They know that working alone introduces a unique set of risks, and they put the responsibility squarely on the employer to identify those risks and put controls in place. And listen, this isn't just a U.S. issue, not by a long shot. In the UK, you've got the Health and Safety at Work Act. In the UAE, Federal Law Number 33 requires employers to provide safe conditions. This has become an international standard of care. Companies, especially the big multinational corporations operating in places like Dubai, they understand that these principles apply everywhere they do business. Okay, so if employers have a duty to protect their people, what exactly are they protecting them from? If you're going to build a safety program that actually works, you first have to understand the full spectrum of what can go wrong when someone is out there on their own. Let's break the dangers down into 4 key areas. First, you have your environmental hazards. Think extreme weather, treacherous terrain, that kind of thing. Then you've got task-related risks, like operating heavy machinery or working at height. But just as critical and often overlooked are the psychological risks, the constant stress and vulnerability, and of course, the very real threat of violence, from robbery to an angry confrontation. And I really want to emphasize that psychological piece for a second. Please, don't underestimate it. Constant isolation can lead to serious stress and mental fatigue. And what does that do? It impairs judgment. It slows down reaction times in an emergency. It's a compounding risk factor that makes every single other hazard on that list even more dangerous. All right, we've defined the problem, we've looked at the risks. Now for the good part, the solution. Let's pivot.
How do you actually protect your people? It really comes down to a clear, actionable 4-step plan to build a robust safety net.
It all starts with number 1, assess the risks. You have to identify the specific hazards for each and every job. Then you implement controls to mitigate those risks. Number 3, establish a reliable check-in system. And finally, number 4, and this is absolutely crucial, you have to train your workers. None of the plans or tech in the world will work if your people don't know what to do.
And the technology available to us today is just incredible. We're way beyond just a scheduled phone call. I mean, think about wearable panic alarms, safety apps that have automated check-ins, and even devices with man-down detection. This means if a worker falls and doesn't get up, an alert with their GPS location is sent automatically. This is a total game-changer for lone worker safety.
It's also really important to understand the 2 main types of controls you can use. On the one hand, you have procedural controls. These are the policies you put in place, like check-in schedules or emergency plans. On the other hand, you have engineering controls, which are physical changes to the work environment, like better lighting, cameras, or secure locks. A truly effective program always uses a smart combination of both.
So, we have a clear path to protecting lone workers. But what happens if a company just ignores all of this? What if they just hope for the best? Let me be blunt. The consequences are severe, and they go far, far beyond a simple slap on the wrist.
Failure to protect your lone workers can trigger enforcement action from bodies like OSHA or the HSE. It can lead to massive, even unlimited fines. In the most severe cases, company directors can actually face prosecution and jail time. And that's before you even get to the civil lawsuits for negligence and the catastrophic damage to your company's reputation. The business case for safety is absolutely undeniable.
And this is the goal. This is what it all leads to. With the right combination of risk assessment, procedures, technology, and training, your employees can perform their duties alone, but they are never truly on their own. They have a lifeline. They have a safety net. So the takeaway here is simple. Investing in a robust lone worker safety program isn't just a compliance issue that you have to tick off a list. It is a moral imperative that protects your people, and it's a smart business decision that protects your company from financial and reputational ruin.
And I'll leave you with this one question to really think about. You know you have people working alone every single day. The real question is, do you have a safety program that is actively working for them every minute of every shift? Is it enough?
If you found this explainer helpful, please do us a favor and like and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next deep dive into critical safety topics. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there.